from the studios of Farm Journal Broadcast.
Coming up on Ag Day, markup on the House version of the Farm Bill begins in earnest and passes. In agribusiness, diving into dairy.
There's too much milk, and this is creating a situation where some folks can let producers go, knowing that they really don't need any more milk in the system right now.
How does animal health in a feedlot compare to human health in a hospital? Producers and scientists say there are more similarities than what you think. We have the story ahead in the show. And could a human treatment help cure equine cancer? Researchers are giving it a try.
Ag Day, brought to you by the Chevy Silverado, the most dependable, longest-lasting full-size pickups on the road.
Good morning, I'm Clinton Griffiths. The House Ag Committee meeting to begin the markup process for a new farm bill. And the gathering less than cordial in what is typically a bipartisan effort. In the final vote, just as partisan, following markup and amendments, the House passing the measure on a party line vote, 26-20. Now, during the hearing, members pouring through the draft of the estimated $86.5 billion a year farm bill. Ag Committee Chair Mike Conaway stressing the importance of the bill during such uncertain times in agriculture. However, Ranking Member Colin Peterson and committee Democrats sharing their strong opposition to the bill they say was written in secret.
Mr. Chairman, this is a flawed bill, and it's a result of a bad and non-transparent process. When I was chairman, we marked the bill up in subcommittee. We didn't do it this time. I oppose it, and I urge my colleagues on the committee to oppose it as well.
Peterson says the bill is far from bipartisan. He and others complaining about the lack of a mandatory baseline for the energy title or the beginning farmer-rancher development program. However, the biggest debate continues to be the supplemental nutrition program, also known as SNAP. Peterson says he can't support a new SNAP program that's untested.
So let me be clear. This bill, as currently written, kicks people off the SNAP program. The chairman calls it self-selection. Call it whatever you want. It's reducing the SNAP pool.
Conaway disagrees, adamantly arguing requiring work or training for a portion of SNAP recipients isn't kicking them off. Representative Rodney Davis saying the SNAP provisions are common sense and continues to provide benefits to the most vulnerable while substantially investing in those who are work capable.
In my home state of Illinois, 67% of all work capable adults receiving SNAP are not working, not because they don't want to in most cases, because they don't have the adequate education and training that this bill is willing to provide them to actually fill the good paying jobs that they want and that they need and that we already know are open.
Proponents of the bill say the draft provides positive provisions by adding acres to the conservation program and strengthening commodity safety nets. Now, once the bill clears committee, it has to go to the full floor of the House for a vote that's likely to happen in May. Japan's Prime Minister Shinzo Abe spending time in Florida with President Trump this week. The two talking trade, including allowing more U.S. ethanol to flow into Japan. Japan announcing it will allow imports of a gasoline additive made from corn-based ethanol called ETBE. Japan says U.S. ethanol can meet up to 44% of a total estimated demand, or potentially 95.5 million gallons of ethanol annually. Meanwhile, continued reaction to China's anti-dumping duties on U.S. sorghum. The 179% tariff on sorghum, the latest in a series of trade barbs between the two nations. Australian sorghum prices rose on Wednesday on expectations of stronger demand. Now, earlier this month, China announcing plans to levy tariffs of up to 25% on pork. However, since then, pork futures prices have been on the rise here at home. July hog future contracts trading above $80 per hundred on Wednesday. Cash prices also trending up, although they still have work to do to catch futures. Now, back in China, it's not the same story. Some Chinese pig farmers are adjusting expansion plans or putting projects on hold because of a glut in the market. That's pushed Chinese hog prices to an 8-year low last month. Reuters reporting companies pausing expansion. Some small farmers are slaughtering sows. This following China's push for expansion, even as global pork supplies remain near record levels. While feedlot operators are seeing an erosion in profits, there's growing evidence that beef demand remains strong and consumers may see lower prices heading into the grilling season. USDA's March retail beef price was $5.60 per pound, which is 7 cents higher than February and 5 cents higher than last year. Partners over Drovers say that price and the estimated per capita supplies for the month suggest March retail beef demand was 2% higher than last year.
Looking ahead, lower cattle prices are encouraging retailers to book beef ahead for summer and fall. It appears that retailers are taking advantage of current low futures prices to cover their needs. Market analysts say sales of beef in the 60 to 90-day window are up over 30% from last year, and sales for more than 90 days out are more than double last year.
Henderson says those numbers suggest strong domestic demand. He says net meat exports are also showing gains for the year. Henderson believes maintaining strong demand for beef will be critical over the next few months as larger supplies are coming to market. This cold weather has been around a while, and some growers in California are still looking to find out the impacts. Mike Hoffman has more in today's Crop Comments.
Good morning, Clinton. This comes from the California Farm Bureau's Facebook page. They say this Sacramento Valley almond farmer has his fingers crossed as he monitors his orchards. He says the extent of damage from a February freeze remains uncertain. Farmers and agricultural commissioners say the effects appear to vary greatly depending on location, tree variety, and other factors. The first government estimate of the almond crop will be released next month. Taking a look at the wind speed forecast, you can see a little bit windy from the Great Lakes into the Mid-Atlantic as we start the day. It gets windier and windier out west in the Four Corner region later. And then as we head through tonight, a lot of the wind subsides in the eastern parts of the country, but it really begins to pick up again in the southwestern plains and parts of the southwest, as you can see right there. We'll have your forecasts coming up. First, here are some hometown temps.
Save time each day and receive the latest market prices directly to your cell phone with market updates. It makes it effortless to stay aware of shifting market prices. Just text Markets 8 to 31313 to get started.
When we come back, we'll take a closer look at dairy markets. And later, we're off to a Nebraska feedlot where this producer takes antibiotic stewardship seriously. Plus, we look at unique crossover treatment for a certain form of cancer that can affect both humans and horses.
With a uniquely powerful formulation of proven ingredients, Resicor corn herbicide gives you extraordinary power.
Who wants dessert?
At least when it comes to weeds.
In agribusiness, a mixed day for markets. Let's get details now from the floor of the CME in Chicago.
Today in soybeans, it was kind of a mixed bag. There was like an early rebound that faded. The market really opened higher and it triggered selling right away. It seems that the traders just keep taking the profits off the table and their eyes are on the escalating tensions with China. Corn was firm today. It had overflow buying from the wheat market because the wheat was actually strong, but it gave futures a boost a little bit. But warmer weather ahead certainly looks like it's going to speed up the planting process, and if it does, then that's definitely going to put a lid on any kind of rally for corn just for the near term. Wheat was the real player today. It was much higher. It seems that the rain in the southern plains is just not enough. That's all from the floor at the CME Group here in Chicago. I'm Virginia McGathy.
The dairy market seeing a day or two of strength this week. Tyne Morgan takes a broader look in today's analysis from the road.
Here now is Scott Brown of the University of Missouri. Scott, there's no denying that the landscape of dairy is changing. We saw 80 producers lose their deemed food contracts. Some are being forced out of dairy production. Some are voluntarily leaving. Talk about the changing landscape today.
Yeah, I think first of all, when you just look at the amount of milk being produced today, there's too much milk, and this is creating a situation where some folks can let producers go knowing that they really don't need any more milk in the system right now. So it is a very tough time. But at the same time, we're seeing a real change in the structure of the dairy industry. It continues to be dominated by more and more larger producers. Recently at a DFA annual meeting where I saw them talk about the first 25% of their milk comes from about 115 operations, as I recall, and the last 25% comes from 7,800. That's a very different landscape for them as well.
So when you look at policy that could help dairy, you know, we've heard we need we've seen some fixes happen. We need more changes for the dairy industry. How do you come up with a solution that fits those producers that are in that last 25%, yet impacting the first 25% too?
Yeah, so it gets very tough. You know, when you see what we've done with the margin protection program, where we talk about the first now 5 million pounds of milk being eligible for coverage with lower premiums, I think that does help some of the smaller producers that we have out there. Larger producers have a lot more risk management options at their fingertips that they can use, and so that's where I think MPP for them with higher premiums isn't maybe the first thing they turn to.
Real quick, what is your outlook for milk prices this year?
Well, I think we are going to see some rebound from the very low prices that we started 2018 with. We're likely not going to find 2018 a very profitable year, but hopefully in the second half, with now what's $1.60 cheese in the market today, if that continues, I think we'll look at milk prices back to where we saw in late 2017 as well. So better in the second half of this year.
Can we at least break even?
I don't think everyone's going to say that they're going to find 2018 a break-even year. Even in the second half, it's going to be pretty varied.
All right, Scott, thank you so much. We appreciate it. Stay with us. We need to take a quick break, and then we'll have a check of weather here on Ag Day.
Back to Ag Day, your meteorologist Mike Hoffman. Mike, we're hoping that's the last gasp of winter. Places in Iowa having school canceled on Wednesday.
That's incredible. I don't know if that might be a record late date for that. No doubt about it. Well, I don't see any more real cold coming our way. At least after this batch of cold air that's already here moves away, and you can still see it snowing in the eastern Ohio Valley, parts of Pennsylvania, New York this morning. That system will move quickly eastward, though. Next system isn't nearly as strong, but it's going pretty far south. Even Southern California has a chance for some showers. There'll be a little bit of snow farther north of that area of low pressure in the higher elevations. You can see by later today still some lake effect in the eastern Great Lakes, some rain in eastern New England. By the time we get to tomorrow, the lingering bits of snow in parts of New England starting the day. Otherwise, high pressure from the southeast all the way into the northern plains. Just a bit of moisture with this system coming through the Four Corner region. Any moisture is appreciated there since that's the really bad drought area. So this is your best chance for moisture in a couple of weeks, and hopefully you get at least some. Next system later in the day tomorrow, starting to approach western Washington. As far as precipitation estimate past 24 hours, both precip and snow, we had a computer changeover today, and so we don't have the past 24 hours there, but we are able to show you the next 36 hours of moisture, and you can see a little bit mainly in the higher elevations of the eastern Rockies and eastward into the western plains, a little bit in New England. Snowfall, same idea. We're just able to show you today the next 36 hours, and you can see where that really piles up. Some of those higher elevations west of Denver there getting pummeled with a lot of snow, and a little bit of snow still in northern New England. So this afternoon, temperatures still pretty chilly across most of the mid-sections of the country for this time of the year. 70s and 80s have been shoved all the way to the Gulf Coast region. Lows tonight going to drop off into the 20s and 30s across most of the Corn Belt, even 40s down into parts of the southeast, at least away from the oceans. And then you can see tomorrow afternoon we begin to see a little bit of a warm up back into Texas, but these are still fairly chilly numbers for this time of the year. Jet stream, you can see it's an active weather pattern with some slow moving, almost cut off low pressure systems moving from west to east. But here's the thing I keep pointing out. We no longer see the Arctic region coming south of central Canada, so at least the Arctic air is cut off. And if that stays the case, then we won't have another real big bout of winter yet this year. That's a look across the country. Now let's take a look at some local forecasts. Going to Cheyenne, Wyoming, first of all, sunny, breezy, mild, high temperature of 60 degrees. Greenville, Mississippi, lots of sunshine and cooler with a high of 61. And finally, Buffalo, New York, cloudy, just a bit of snow at times, high around 36 degrees.
When we come back, we'll take a look at the team effort behind antibiotic and microbial resistance. Plus, we'll see how one university is using skills to fight leukemia in humans. And it may also prove beneficial in the horse barn. Details when we head in the country.
While you are focused on raising the world's most nutritious beef, your checkoff is opening doors and telling consumers why beef is always a great choice. Visit mybeefcheckoff.com to learn how else your checkoff is opening doors.
The One Health Initiative concept has been around for more than a decade. It looks at how the environment, human, and animal health all connect. Well, the Beef Checkoff Promotional Board, along with some of its subcontractors, are taking the initiative a step further, studying disease transmission, antibiotic, and antimicrobial resistance across the food chain. Betsy Gibbon reports.
Placed in Dodge, Nebraska is no small feedlot, 3,000 head of cattle to be exact.
here at the J&S feedlot.
How's everything looking over here?
Owned and operated by Joan Ruskamp and her family.
We work with a nutritionist. We have a veterinary team that have helped us, one, develop rations to help the animal stay healthy.
A strict medical plan is in place.
And then two, a vaccination program to help their immune system build up. And then what antibiotic would be needed if an animal is sick.
Sometimes the cattle are isolated to what Joan calls a hospital barn until they feel better.
They're out of the weather, for one. They're separate from their pen, so whatever they have, they're not sharing with everybody else.
Ruskamp says the goal is to start a conversation and bring what she does on the feedlot over to consumers and even scientists.
That's why the Beef Checkoff and the National Institute of Animal Agriculture, a subcontractor to CBB, are starting to work with the Center for Disease Control to understand each other. They all met last month for a meeting, bringing all levels of the food chain together to get on the front line of food safety.
When we work together and can control disease, control illness so that we can all be healthier, we have a success story to share.
Ruskamp attended and wants to tell her story and communicate to the industry what she does on a daily basis.
Well, antibiotic resistance is mainstream information now. People are talking about it, people are concerned about it. And so rather than isolate ourselves from the human side of medicine, the Antibiotic Symposium work brings us together.
All of the groups are looking at antibiotic resistance and the judicial use of them to see if there's a correlation between the environment, humans, and animals.
We have the same discussions and same issues that CDC has with their hospitals when they look at how they reduce the need for antibiotics within their systems. If we give an antibiotic to an animal on the farm, does that increase the risk of someone not responding to an antibiotic in a nursing home?
And they're looking at disease transmission in a way to prevent foodborne illnesses.
The issue itself won't be solved by one person or one group, so it's going to be a journey, and it may not be solved at all, but at least we can address the issue and continue to help understand among all sides.
It's a format where Moore and Ruskamp feel they can communicate and not point fingers at one another to figure out the problem. The CDC saying we rely on relationships and collaborations to increase knowledge on risk and attribution, which allows us to develop appropriate protective and preventative measures.
I was really impressed with their desire to hear what we're doing on our farms and ranches so that they could implement that in whatever they're doing.
Moore says the CDC does not regulate the cattle industry, but the center works with the USDA, FDA, and its stakeholders for its recommendations.
And so this relationship with CDC doesn't regulate what we do, but there's an organization based on sound science.
I think they're just not sure.
As Ruskamp stands in her hospital barn.
And when they're content, they're healthier and they grow and they finish at a way that makes it better for them and for us in working with them.
She cares for the ones that need extra help and maintains the health of the rest, doing what she can until the cattle move on to the next step in their journey. Reporting for AgDay, I'm Betsy Gibbon.
Up next, see how a special cancer treatment for humans may help this horse live a longer life. In the Country's next.
In the Country, sponsored by Kubota. Tractors, hay tools, utility vehicles, mowers, and more. Visit KubotaUSA.com today.
Doctors from The Ohio State University are joining forces to find a common bond to fight cancer that affects both people and horses. The crossover treatment is used to treat chronic lymphocytic leukemia, or CLL. Testing proved that Bob the horse had CLL, a form of blood cancer that's rare in horses. It's more commonly found in humans. Through a collaborative research effort, Bob's veterinarian team connected with a Dr. John Bird from Ohio State's Comprehensive Care Center. Now, Bird specializes in CLL. They treated Bob with a drug known as ibrutinib, which has been successful in human cases. This is the first time it's been tried on equine.
You know, with these pills, particularly in older patients with this disease, they can take the pill once a day. The disease, the disease goes away, and they can expect in many cases to live as long as they would without CLL. So our hope is that we can translate this back to the horse or some of our other therapies that are used in CLL.
The veterinary team says Bob is not showing many signs of the disease. They hope to prolong his life and give him a better quality of life. Now, Bob is 16 years old and grew up on a Pennsylvania farm. All right, that's all the time we have this morning. We're sure glad you tuned in, spent part of your day with us. From all of us here at AgDay, I'm Clinton Griffiths. Have a great day.